Hi, everybody. Oh, welcome to Stories That Inspire. I am so honored to be here today with Lisa Mead Romero, one of my fearless offspring sales directors and one of the most fearless women that I have the privilege of knowing. So, Lisa, say hi to the girls.
Hi, everybody.
This is
I'm
real
so
commitment.
excited.
She's literally at work right now, guys. She's like in the vehicle, taking a mini break. Like, lunch mini break, yes, on the workforce. She's gone from her work clothes to like Mary Kay mode. Well, we're so honored for your time, Lisa. You know, I've always respected how you worked your business from the very beginning, but I want them to know you like we get to know you. You know, people may know you as like, oh, she's like in law enforcement, or she's so cool, or she's so, so strong and so committed. But I want them to know, Lisa, like I know you. So for everyone to get to know you, Lisa, how would you describe yourself? Who is Lisa?
So I'm so excited because I think who I am now is not who I was. But right now, who I am is I am so focused on spreading joy to others. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm just excited for the next adventure. Like, I think, how can I serve? And we are, even my husband and I, we're both in this position now where we're excited for life. We're excited for what comes next. And I think there's so many things out there that we're just like thirsty for. So I'm hungry for more.
I love that because I think it's easy in a time like this to be scared of what's next. People can live in fear with all the changes we've gone through this year, and every day seems to be different. So I love your expectancy. That's such an interesting mindset. When you're watching, listen to people's mindset. That's the greatest gift you can get from this conversation, I really believe, right? So, okay, Lisa, you decided to become a Mary Kay consultant in probably one of your craziest seasons. You were planning a wedding and like in the middle of working full time. What made you say yes to Mary Kay, even in that crazy moment?
So yeah, when I was first introduced to Mary Kay, my beauty consultant Susanna, she caught my eye at a event where I was basically looking for my wedding gown at a bridal. It was a bridal event for breast cancer awareness. It was a charity event. So I was like, I'm going to spend money on like this dress I'm going to wear for a couple hours. Let's make it worth something to somebody else. So I entered the raffle literally because I was like, this woman told me she could teach me how to do my makeup, and I had no idea how to do my makeup. Being a cop, I'm like, what do I really wear every day to work? Nobody really cares. They just see the uniform. They don't necessarily see the face. And I fell in love with the products. It took probably close to 6 months for me to actually meet up with her once I won the raffle, because I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. And my agency had me on loan to a federal law enforcement agency. So I was working crazy cases, planning an out-of-state wedding. I was actually a director for the Women's Club of Coconut Creek, where we do charity events. So I was planning a charity event at the same time. And I remember I just fell in love with the products. Number one, I fell in love with products, and I fell in love with how I felt during the experience. And then a few weeks later, the products were still working, and everybody was noticing that, and like the wheels started turning in my head, and I was like, well, why not? Like, there was really not too much thought that went into it. It was like, I love the products. I'm going to keep buying them. Let me get them at a discount and let my friends and family buy for me, because my wedding, it's not cheap. So I was like, let's just take advantage of this right now. I was going to be around so many people because of my wedding. Let me take advantage and just see what happens. I think that I just didn't dwell on the reasons not to, and I dwelled on my feeling in the moment. So I was just excited to try something new.
I love that because each time your mindset each time has been, I'm excited. I'm excited with what's new. I'm excited with what can come. That's a choice in mindset, which can be completely the opposite. So I love that. I love how you think, Lisa.
And
So
I was always busy. Like, I was always going to be busy. I knew it was a busy time of my life, but I didn't know when there was not going to be a busy time of my life. Like, I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college. Like, I always was busy. So I don't ever think that I looked at busyness as a reason not to. It was just part of my life.
I can totally relate to that. I love that. So 6 months of follow-up. Susanna called you follow up for 6 months. I think most people would have given up. or felt like they were bothering somebody. So maybe there's a consultant on here that feels like, I don't want to bother people. She's been so busy. Is it just like maybe just busy? Or like, what advice would you give them? Because clearly it worked. Maybe we give
Yeah.
What advice
Yes.
would you give somebody?
So I think that number one, communication is key, and it was always clear the reason why Susanna was calling me. It was, hey, I don't have time. I can't think about my schedule right now. And she was so smart about being like, okay, when would be the next best time for me to call you? Okay. And she was so gracious that I would see her name and I'd be like, listen, I know I told you to call me right now, but now's not a good time. And she was like, okay. So, but I had always, even when I didn't answer her phone call, there was some type of like, hey, just remember this is when we said we were going to talk. So there was always like, she was always in control of when our next interaction was going to be. And even I think at one point she asked me like if I was really still interested. And I was like, yes, my life is just so busy right now. Like I want to be able to do this. So I think that's what kept it going. But I mean, she was honest with me. She's like, girl, this is probably the last time I was going to follow up with you. Because I mean, 6 months is a long time after we had probably spoken maybe 10 to 12 times in that 6 months, if not more, like missed calls in between. So I want everybody to remember, like, there's a me out there that you're not calling.
Yeah.
There's a future sales director that you can invite into Mary Kay. Just have the courage to follow up and have the courage to be audacious in what you ask. Like, it's okay to say, hey, I'm just asking, like, is this really not for you? Or is it just a crazy busy time of your life and I can give you a call next week, next month?
That's really good advice. I think we've all had that person where we just don't want to bother or lose them, but even just being clear and specific, like, is this really, are you really so interested? I love that. That's such, I mean, clarity and gives us like a piece to move forward. I love that. So Lisa, 4.5 years later, did you always know you wanted to be a sales director when you started during your wedding time?
Well, no. I mean, I think at first I was just like, let's see what this can do in terms of a cash flow situation to offset the cost of a wedding. And I fell in love with so many aspects. I fell in love with the community. I fell in love with learning and trying something new. And I fell in love with the possibilities, and I realized I loved being really good at selling products because it was an immediate paycheck to me. That's what I knew. So I was focused on just being like the best consultant I could ever be because that's the best paycheck I can ever give myself. And then I realized, wow, people were interested with just how I approached the circumstance. And then I realized my fellow beauty consultants were watching me. And I actually had this epiphany where I was like, wow, people are looking to me as to like what should be done next or what should they do next. And I was like, I don't want myself to be a thought barrier or a belief barrier for somebody else. So I was like, you know what? I'm a strong, independent woman and I'm a leader like naturally in terms like I feel like I have a strong point of view. So I was like, let's just take the next step because I don't want to be wondering could I reach the next step or reach my full potential. And the reality was I was probably more interested in getting the car first because my husband and I were sharing one car because we both have police cars, and it was getting really uncomfortable and just a pain in the butt to rent a car every weekend to go do my Mary Kay business. So in the process of like, okay, the car's the next thing, and then immediately I was on target for DIQ. So
I love what you said about comfort. We never move forward when in our comfort zone. You were uncomfortable. That need of a car, something as simple as there was a need. You saw like people look to me. Why not try? So maybe there's somebody here who's like has never considered leadership. Maybe they never considered becoming a sales director. Why should they?
mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say well, first, I think it's important for you to think like, what do you want out of life in general? And to me, yes, sales directorship, an increased paycheck, a bigger platform to change more women's lives. But it was really an opportunity for me to get to what I really love in life. And I love choices. I love choices. And there are so many more choices at the level of a sales director. There's choices in training to grow yourself and grow your mindset. There's choices in just not only aspects of Mary Kay, but it opens up opportunities because you have a better financial platform, right? There's more choices to go on vacation, or more choices to try new things, or more choices for new experiences. So I think that if you think about what you want out of life and almost look at the platform as being a sales director, can get you to that. Maybe your platform is you want to change women's lives. You want to be able to donate more. You want to work with the homeless community. Whatever it is, just I think to kind of think outside the confines of being a sales director is just being a sales director. It's not. It's so much more in that ability to give you opportunity.
I put that in the chat. What is your platform? What a great question to reflect on. Am I muted still? No, Mom, not anymore.
Oh, I can't hear you anymore. Hold on. No, it's me. It's me.
Oh, I was like, where am I? But I love that question you posed for such a great self-reflection question. What is your platform? Because that will fuel you to move forward, because it's not about just the title of the jacket, which the jacket is super cute, but it's beyond that. We all have a different purpose for getting there. Love that. So Lisa, you usually talk about the balance that Mary Kay brings into your life. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes. So I think that, we all have stresses in life. For sure, my job is probably one of the higher stressed jobs out there, right? Not only when I joined Mary Kay was I a police officer, but I was also a member of the bomb squad. So really, some serious things can happen in that. The decisions you make have large ramifications. But in every aspect of life, whether it be a family member going through a health circumstance, or, you have children you need to take care of, or, we're going through a stressful relationship, there is always stress in our life. And Mary Kay has been a way for me to balance that stress, not only just to be part of a positive environment, but to actually work on my mindset on how to work with that outside of Mary Kay, right? So techniques and ways to look at the world that I've learned in Mary Kay have benefited me in my law enforcement career, have benefited me in my relationship with my husband. And I will tell you, there's no greater need that I probably had to be filled than a sense of community that was positive. Now, there is a brotherhood and a sisterhood in law enforcement, but it is not necessarily positive mindsets. It is, we can commiserate amongst all the other stuff that unfortunately we all have to deal with on a daily basis, but it wasn't focused on personal growth, and it wasn't focused on growing larger than we are. It was more like, what do we have to do to get through the trenches that we're in now? So I needed that positive community to be able to have that sense of stress relief.
And that leads me to a question about, you mentioned that like sometimes life can be hard. Mary Kay isn't always a hard part. Life is a hard part.
Yes.
No matter what seems to come your way, Lisa, I'm impressed with how you keeping on. I believe, your profession has taught you how to be cool under pressure more than I think most of us have ever had to be. But you've had a lot of life happen in the past year, and we won't go into all the details, but health with family and different things. It's been a tough year, I think, for a lot of people that can relate to this question. How do you keep your focus during these seasons where life is hard?
Yeah. So life is hard for all of us, especially right now, right? And I've always been a find a way, make a way type of person, because I think when you don't have any option, your option is really just to be okay with where your circumstance is, or be willing to do just one more thing to make it better. And so for me, the focus has always been, what is the next best step? I don't have to figure it all out. I do not have to figure it all out. Just what is the next best step to move forward? What is the next best step for my business, or even for myself, right? What's the next best step for me right now? And I think that what I've found is being in any type of motion is better than being in no motion. Even if I'm trying something that doesn't work, I feel like I'm moving forward because I'm in motion, So even with years of challenges and so on and so forth, it's just like, what's the one thing I can do right now? I know I can't dedicate the time that I wanted to dedicate. I know that I'm frazzled and I may not sound the best on the phone right now, but what's the next best step that I could take? And maybe it's just sending a text message, or maybe it's reaching out to my sales director. But what's just that one next best step? And I think that's what kind of keeps me focused, no matter how much craziness is going on around me.
Well, I know people watching that are maybe going through a lot of life, they're thanking you for what you're sharing, because I think people can relate to dealing with the unexpected this year, and a lot of life happening, a lot of things that we weren't expecting. So I love that focus. I wrote these questions down: better being in motion than no motion, and what is my best next step right now? It's life skills. I love that, Lisa. So Lisa, you described yourself earlier as somebody who's focused on spreading joy right now, excited about the next adventure, the new thing, you know? Would you have always described yourself that way before being in Mary Kay?
No. I mean, I probably would have wanted to describe myself that way. But for me, I think that when I look back at myself, I realized how limited my mindset was. I probably would have described myself as content. Like, I was going through the motions because I knew there was going to be an end goal. Like, I was in law enforcement and I knew at the end of my 20 years I'd get a pension. Like, I knew, like, I was kind of just doing the have tos, you know? And I was like, all right, I'm going to have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. And I was probably a little rough around the edges in terms of, like, just, I hadn't fully developed yet. You know, I was very linear in a way. And that was great because I could achieve things that way. But I found that now, yes, to me, there's endless possibilities. As long as I have my weekly plan sheet to tell me, like, what's the next thing on my schedule, it doesn't matter how hectic it is, it works out that way. And it allows me to live in the moment of what I'm doing right now and not be like, oh, okay, I have to, like, all these things running through my head. So I think I was so focused on task when I started Mary Kay that now I'm focused on the experience, which lends itself to so much more.
That's powerful. So I think we might have not just consultants watching today, maybe past consultants, maybe people thinking about the business. So with that said, maybe we can give advice to both groups. Maybe advice to the consultant watching, maybe that either wants to reignite, maybe has just been, stepping back into her business or currently working her business. And maybe some advice for somebody who's watching as somebody's guest today, just inspired by your story. What would you tell them?
So I would say, no matter what, whether you're thinking about relaunching your business or how to stay motivated right now, or are you going to take that next step into leadership? Is this for me? Is really go back to that joy of your Mary Kay business and what that is for you. So for me, no matter what, the joy of my Mary Kay business is putting products on faces. That's it. That's the joy. Like, I just want to be in front of a woman and watch her reaction when she's like, wow, my skin is so soft. Wow, I feel pretty. Like, those are the things that get me excited about my Mary Kay business. And that's the joy igniter for me. So when I feel stuck or I feel like, what's the next step? It's always that. Go back to my joy and my happy zone. And that may not be it for you. For you, it might be working on the community. How can Mary Kay outreach the community? But whatever it is, the joy for you in your Mary Kay business, it is so important to grab that and to hold on to it and, like, really dig in, because the reality is this: you are worthy of experiencing that joy. You truly are worthy of experiencing that joy and everything your Mary Kay business can bring to you. And that's one thing I always think to myself, like, oh, it'd be nice if I didn't do this and I won whatever. But I'm like, you know what? My husband and I are going to be so much more blessed by following through on the little things now. And I can really, because I've tasted joy, right? I've tasted joy and I've tasted success, to know it's coming again, to do the little things now. But I think we always feel like work has to be hard, and it's going to take all this, like, energy from us. But what energy does it give us? That joy, when you're in your joy zone, you're constantly getting fueled. And it's easy then because you're like, yes, let me bring others joy and let the joy come to me too. And we're really worthy of that. I think that's something that I'm so focused on passing on to others, is reminding them that they're worthy of so much more. Yeah.
I know it's a word that God gave you, worthy, worthy warrior. And you are worthy, my friend. You're worthy of all that is come and all that is ahead as you look forward expectantly to what is next that God has for you. And I'm really proud of you. I love watching you grow. I love being part of your journey. I love seeing you and George share moments like being on, Universal trips with Mary Kay, and seeing just, him being part of your business too, and the boundaries that you've set and how you've grown and how you ignite. Look at the comments here. Ignite joy in others. You are a find a way, make a way person. You are worthy of experiencing joy. People are loving your authenticity today. You're getting so much love. Just what I needed to hear today. Look at all this love you're getting. So I want to thank you for your time, Lisa. I know you're working. Thank you for just taking time to just share from your heart. I think we all have been blessed and inspired by your story today. And ladies watching, I know that you were inspired today. What will you do with that story? Because the most inspiring story is the one you're writing yourself. Lisa is still writing her story. What story?
Absolutely.
What story are you writing today? Lisa, thank you. That was powerful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and excited for what is ahead.
Yes, let's do it. Let's go spread some joy.
Spread some joy. That's right. If you're spreading some joy, put in the comment section, spreading some joy. Hashtag. Thank you, everybody. Have a powerful On Purpose and Pink Friday.
Bye.